What's up, everybody? Coach Cox here, and I hope you are ready for another fun and exciting PE activity this week. What we're going to be working on today are some tossing and catching challenges, and we're going to be working on some hand-eye coordination that will help us with a lot of different sports and activities that we do when we're in school and in the gym. Now, before we get started, need to do a couple things real quick. We are going to need a little bit of space today, so make sure you don't have, if you're inside, kind of clear out the furniture or any large objects that might be around you so you don't trip. This activity might even be better if you can go outside. It may make the activity a little more safer and easier to move around, but you will need a little bit of an area to work with. Also, you're going to need an object to toss and catch in this activity. Now, you can probably find something around your house, and we're going to play a little game real quick, and I'll show you some different objects that I was able to find around the gym and in our coach's office, and I want to ask you to see which one of these you think would be easier to toss and catch and which one you think may be harder to toss and catch, and you can follow along with Coach, and then once we're done, see if you can find an object at your house that's not breakable that you can toss and catch with. So here's my first one that I'm going to ask you. I'm going to show you two objects. So if we look, I have a tennis ball here. I was able to find that, and I was able to find a grocery bag. Now both of these I'm able to toss and catch with, but which one do you think would be easier to toss and catch? And which one do you think would be more difficult or harder to toss and catch? And if you need a second to kind of think, you can always pause it, think about it, and come back before I tell you my opinion. Nice. So welcome back. So you probably said that the grocery bag would be easier, and can you think about why it may be easier to throw the grocery bag or toss and catch the grocery bag? That's right. So when you toss and catch a grocery bag, if you notice, it kind of floats through the air and it goes real slow. But if I toss the tennis ball, it goes much faster. And it's going to drop down a lot faster than the grocery bag will. Can you notice something else that's different about these two? That's right. This one's a lot bigger, and the tennis ball is a lot smaller, so the smaller the object is, it's going to be more difficult to catch. And you also know the grocery bag is real soft, but the tennis ball is hard, so a harder object will also be more difficult to toss and catch. All right, let's move on to our next one. I was also able to find a stuffed animal and a Frisbee. All right, so out of these two, which do you think would be easier and which would be harder to toss and catch? Awesome. I bet you probably said the stuffed animal's easier than the Frisbee to toss and catch, but why do you think this one would be easier? Great job. Yeah, you're right, because you know the stuffed animal, it's nice and soft, so that way, you know, if I accidentally miss the object and don't catch it, it won't knock me in the coconut and knock me out. That's a good one. If you also notice, the Frisbee is kind of skinny and it's harder to catch because it is so skinny and it's harder to get your hand around it. So out of these two objects, if you're able to find a stuffed animal, that would be the easier object to throw. And our last example, I know this might be kind of hard to see, but I have some balled up socks. I did wash them, so they're not stanky. So I have some balled up socks here and a football. So out of these two, which do you think would be easier to toss and catch and which would be harder? Awesome job. I bet you said the socks, as long as they're nice and clean and not too stinky. Yeah, they're going to be a lot easier to catch than the football. But why do you think the socks would be easier? That's right, because the socks are real soft, okay? So you won't be worried about if you miss it. It won't hurt you if you accidentally don't catch it. The socks are also round, so round objects are going to be easier to catch. And notice what shape the football is. It's shaped more like an egg, so it's going to be a little bit harder to catch. So objects that aren't round are also going to be more difficult. So these are just some objects that you can use in this activity, and I'm going to let you choose which object you would like to use. So you can make the game more difficult by choosing one of the harder objects, or you can make the game easier by choosing one of the easier objects that we just went over. So at this time, you can pause your screen or pause the video real quick and go find your object, get you some space, and then meet me right back here and we'll get started with our activity. All right, welcome back everybody. So just in case, just a quick reminder, make sure you got your object ready to go. I'm gonna be using my stuffed animal for this one. And make sure you got your area cleared out. Now, before we get started on our tossing and catching challenges, where you're gonna be able to follow along with Coach here, we do gotta go over a couple of little things to remember, important things when we're tossing and catching. Number one, like I said earlier, we're working on hand-eye coordination. So make sure that you're always watching your object come into your hands when you catch. All right, so you always gotta watch and use your eyes. Number two thing that we always want to remember, or the second thing we want to remember when we're tossing and catching, is to kind of make a diamond with our hands. And that's how we want to catch. Now notice if I'm catching up high, okay, my fingertips point to the sky, and notice how that rhymes. So up high, fingertips to the sky. Now sometimes you'll have to catch down low, and when I catch down low, my fingertips are actually going to point to the floor. So when we're doing these challenges, and you might want to practice without even catching, just kind of get in the habit of how your hand should look when you toss and catch. The third thing, we don't want to catch with our arms, okay? So a good catch means you catch it cleanly in just your hands. So those are really the three things I really want you to focus on when we're catching. Now, you do have to have a good toss in this game. Notice I said toss, and I did not say throw. So if you throw it, it's gonna be much more difficult to be able to do this game. So I'm gonna just do a nice little underhand toss, kind of like I'm bowling, and I want the object to go straight up and come straight down. I don't want it to go out or to the side, so that way I'm able to be successful with this activity. So I'm just gonna put him in my good hand, take him straight back, straight forward, and let go when he's out in front. And that way my object will go straight up in the air and I'm not having to move around. Now you do need to move around a little bit, but you don't want to be moving too much because then that's going to make the game much too difficult. So let's go ahead and get started. And remember, if you're having trouble, you can always pause the video and you can go back and do some of the challenges again. So I'm going to start off with some easier challenges, and as the video goes on, we'll get a little more crazy. So get your object, get your space ready, let's get started. All right, our first one that we're going to do is just a simple toss and catch with two hands. So toss, catch with two hands, and you can just follow along with Coach here. And I want to see if anybody can get 3 in a row. Nice. Was anybody able to get 3 in a row that time? That's going to be our goal for these challenges, so let me know if you were able to. All right, next up, I want you to toss it, and this time I want you to catch it up real high. You can even jump and catch if you want to. Awesome. Anybody get 3 in a row? I bet you did. Also, do you remember what I said about fingertips? Your fingertips should be pointed to the sky. That's right. Pointed to the sky when we're doing catching up high. Fingertips point to the sky. All right, now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to work on catching down low. So toss it up and see if you can catch it right before it hits the floor. Great job, y'all keep it up. Let's see, were you able to get 3 in a row? Or even better, how do your fingertips need to look when you're catching down low? Exactly. Y'all are doing an awesome job. You know you gotta point your fingertips to the floor. All right, this time, we're gonna change it up, make it a little bit crazier. This time, I want you to just catch with one hand. I'm gonna start off using my dominant or my good hand. So can you catch with just your good hand? Nice, you probably guessed the next one. Let's switch it up. Can you now use your non-dominant or your bad hand to catch? You can toss with your good hand or your bad hand, it's up to you. Awesome job. And remember, you can always pause it, go back and work on these challenges if you weren't able to get 3 in a row. So that's our goal. So if you're not able to, take a little pause, try to get your 3 before you move on. All right, so we did our good hand, bad hand challenge. Now what I want you to do, we're gonna work on going, I call it kind of like a juggle catch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna toss it from my good hand to my bad hand, and kind of like we're juggling, we're gonna go back and forth. Keep up the great work. Y'all are doing awesome out there. If you're able to do 3, that's awesome. If not, remember, you can always try it again. Always pause it if I'm moving too quickly. All right, so we just did our juggle catch. Now we're gonna do some real crazy challenges. This time we're gonna toss it. Before you catch it, I want you to clap your hands and catch. So I call this toss, clap, catch. Great job. How about we see how many claps we can get before the object or before we catch it. So let's see how many claps we can get. Coach had 5 that time. Ooh, 6. See if you're able to beat me. Awesome job. So the next one we're going to do, now we're going to do a toss, a spin, and a catch. So when we spin, we're just doing a full turn around. We also would call this a 360 spin. So I'm going to toss, spin, catch. This one's a little more difficult. Oh. Awesome job. Y'all keep up the great work. You don't want to do that one too long, you get too dizzy. All right, now we're going to do something called a toss, a strike, and a catch. Now, the first object we're going to strike with, we're just going to strike it up with our hand. Okay, so I'm going to toss, strike it up with my hand, and then try to catch. Toss, strike, catch. Toss, strike, catch. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. So be sure to let me know if you're able to get 3 of those in a row. Now, if you were able to get 3 in a row of all those, then you're ready for the last and final challenge. Now, to me, this is the most difficult one because it takes your eyes off of our object, and we already know hand-eye coordination, your hands and eyes got to work together. So this one, we're going to toss it, slap the floor or the ground with both of your hands, and then catch. So toss, slap the floor, catch. And this is very challenging, so don't get frustrated if you're having a little trouble. Great. Now, if you need to go back, if I went through too quickly, or if there's some that you really like, you can always go back and rewind and pause the video at any point to work on those. Now, after doing all these challenges, there are two things I'd like for you to do. We're going to do a little show and tell video for this activity. So, for the video, I want you to just tell me, can you tell me what is one thing, very important thing to remember when we're tossing and catching? So at the beginning of the video and throughout the video, I kind of mentioned some different things to remember when we're catching. Can you think of what are one of the most important things that we need to do when we're tossing and when we're catching? So I want you to tell me that in the video. And then the last thing I want you to do in your video is can you show me and create your own challenge? Can you think of a different way that you could toss and catch? And I want you to show me what you were able to create. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone's videos and your little show and tell at the end, and I'll catch you next time.